I'm Gail Ferguson from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, the Department of Human and Community Development. Remote acculturation is an exciting modern form of acculturation which is occurring amongst non-immigrants via globalization mechanisms other than immigration. And this is one of the things that makes it very interesting to me. It's some work that I pioneered, and that is the first paper is published in the International Journal of Behavioral Development. I've done this work in Jamaica, and what I've found in a number of studies is that about 1/3 of adolescents in Jamaica report both a very strong orientation towards their own ethnic Jamaican culture, but in addition, a moderately strong orientation towards European American culture. They haven't lived there, they haven't spent significant time there, and so there's no immigration reasons why they would have this biculturalism. But like I said, about 1/3 of them do demonstrate this sort of integration and this acculturation experience. And so remote acculturation is occurring based on indirect or intermittent contact with a distant culture. Replication studies, both in Jamaica and in other countries, seem to be supporting those data. These youth, they have some interesting features. One of them is that their family relationships are also different from culturally traditional youth. In particular, they have larger discrepancies in family values between they and their mothers. And the acculturation gap between they and their mothers is related to much higher levels of conflict between the parents and adolescents. So there are some vulnerabilities that they may have, but there are also some assets. Some pilot qualitative work shows that these youth are very behaviorally flexible. They're able to code switch. They take perspective of others more easily. They're adaptable. So there are assets and liabilities. So this IJBD paper really demonstrates the Americanization of Jamaican Islanders as one instantiation of remote acculturation. However, I want to emphasize that I believe remote acculturation is broader than just Americanization. There are particular reasons why the US culture has a lot of influx and influence in Jamaica, but I'm now exploring along with colleagues another culture that is much less influential in the world, but exploring ways in which youth in other places might be becoming acculturated towards this smaller culture, if you would have it, to explore the generalizability of this phenomenon in other contexts. I think many implications arise from this work. One is theoretical. It expands for us our conceptualization of acculturation. It's no longer just an immigrant phenomenon. Not that it wasn't only that, but a lot of the research recently has focused on immigrants for good reasons. It expands it for us to think about non-immigrants and other ways in which we have cultural exposure. And so it has implications for us doing research amongst non-immigrants in the majority world, which receives a lot of input from other cultures, and that's exciting for me. There are also practical implications for families and adults who work with children, educators, clinicians, to understand the impact of globalization forces on the cultural identity of youth in the world today, in many countries. Not all youth will develop this sort of remote biculturalism. Some will, but understanding their perspective will be key to helping them develop in the ways that they want to. And finally, perhaps there are even policy implications, because at the national level, it might be important for Jamaica and other countries that are experiencing this to develop policies that will help youth be prepared for a more globalized world, recognizing they already have skills to tackle the challenges that come along with the world being more globalized. But getting away from this idea that they need to enculturate them further and resist all outside influences. What we're seeing is that youth are not leaving their ethnic culture behind. They're simply adding to it. That's something we know about immigrants. It's also true for non-immigrants who are remotely acculturating. If you'd like to learn more about remote acculturation or get more details about the research I've described, please visit the International Journal of Behavioral Development, where you can download the paper. It's called Remote Acculturation, the Americanization of Jamaican Islanders. Thanks.